that noise, I'm watching two foxes, and they're quite literally chasing each other round and round in circles in the paddock. The weather's wild. It's blowing a hoolie, but they're just playing. And I guess this wild, windy weather, makes them even wilder. And they're zooming around. There's 3 foxes down there, in fact. I'm wondering whether it's probably a mating ritual. I think the female is the one that's being chased predominantly. She's arching her back, and really being submissive. So let's try and get a little bit closer. All the sheep are just looking on, wondering what's going on. Foxes are all very well around mature sheep, but of course the whole thing changes when there are little lambs about. Right, now I've just snuck down, right down to the hedge. I've just seen one bomb down the hedge line on the other side. There he comes. He's just come out from behind the shed. Beautiful, really clean. I mean, at this time of year the foxes are fantastic. Their brushes are full, very hairy, very, very bushy. Completely unlike anything you'd see in a town fox. Poor old town foxes, they don't do well, they're full of mange and they're a bit emaciated, it's a diet of rubbish food. These guys get to eat pheasant and rabbit and lots of voles. Oh, there's the other one now. We're across from a great big oak tree on the other side of Neil and Karen's paddock. That's good for me because of course the wind's coming from them to me and it's very rough, so they're not even going to be able to hear me talking. There you go, that's a dog fox barking. The foxes are just literally now about 25 yards running. 2 of them, both of them just chasing one another right in front of me. There they go, back down the paddock, down towards the pond. Another one, that's the haunting call that you tend to hear in the middle of the night when you're fishing and somebody says, "What's that? What's that noise?" It's just a fox. Hello listener, welcome to Wiggly Podcast number 122. We've been off the air for a little bit and I do thank you for all the feedback that you've had, but we'll discuss all that feedback next week when we have the pleasure of Heather and Phil's company as well. Unfortunately, Hev is in Brussels and Phil is in Essex, so I've been tasked with doing this little feature all on my own. Now, the reason why we haven't been on air for a bit is this fat, juicy catalogue that I've got in front of me, which is a real achievement, in fact. And there's so much work went into this, and when I look at it, it's a glorious booklet. It's full of all sorts of interesting things. And not only are there a whole wealth of new and interesting products in here, but so many people have made brilliant contributions. So quite honestly, it's something that you could give to someone that they would treasure purely for the benefit of all the information that they can glean from it. And it looks great. It really does look stunning. So for you lucky people that are going to get these catalogues, from, in fact, the middle of next week, these will start to land. But there's some really interesting stuff in here. So anyway, that is why we haven't been about. Interesting developments in the Wiggly Garden. A couple of local guys came to pleach the hedge. As some of you listeners may well know, we've talked about the hedge before and the fact that it's proliferated with all sorts of interesting native hedging plants. Unfortunately, it's been left to go a little bit, and it was very tall. So we were quite lucky, and we had a couple of guys come along, and they've pleached the hedge. They've laid the hedge for us. And I went out with Rach and did a little interview and talked to those guys. So just have a listen to this. That one's looking alright, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anna's doing a good job. There we are, look, God, I've made a difference already, hasn't it?
Yeah. That's the lighting.
Yeah. Well, it'll all be so much tidier, won't it? In the summer. We've got more visitors. Morning, gentlemen. Morning, gentlemen. Yeah, you can't hide. Nowhere to run.
That's Bob, the chainsaw, and Fred.
Hello, Bob. I'm surprised you need a chainsaw for something so small.
Easier, isn't it?
Makes life easier.
Don't you fellas use billocks and things like that for laying edges these days, or?
You get accurate or no? Axe.
It's nice to meet. So I'm Richard anyway. Nice to meet you. I've just brought my little recording device along.
Oh, I see.
So it's everything you say is going on record.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Has it been? Did it need doing, this hedge?
Well, Rachel said it did. So.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, does it?
What can you do with it, like?
Has it gone past? I mean, what else would you do? We should have. Perhaps we should have done something. Do you think we should have done something sooner?
Well, I should have thought so, but you can't do nothing with it. You wanted to keep it about you, didn't you?
Yeah. So we didn't cut it hard enough, did we, in the early days?
Perhaps it's too hard now. I don't know.
We should see, won't we? We'll see if any new growth comes on it.
Oh, it'll grow. Don't worry.
So
you got to be tied down or whatever.
So do you guys do this regularly?
No. Any bodgers we are.
Are you?
We'll get some ties just now and tie it down, look, and then trim it all off and then take the stakes off.
Yes, I notice what you've done. You've cut the base of the growth. Well, literally, what's that, about 3 inches above the
yeah.
That's pleaching, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you've quite literally folded it down, but you've left it's just like the skin of the shrub, really.
Well, no, it's just what, not the skin. There's a bit of
sapwood.
Right, holding like that's how you pleach it.
Right,
that's a pleacher.
When you look at it, you think there wouldn't be enough there to keep that thing growing to sustain it, but
you can't. They'll spring back up, look.
Oh, I see. So there's a fine balance, really, in the depth of cut.
That's right.
So you fold that over, and you've driven stakes in the middle of the hedge to effectively plait the growth into.
Yeah, that's it. And then you'll start from here. You'll put one tie to each stake. It'll take now.
Okay, right.
You'll come up here, one in there, back in there, back in there. That's right. And then you'll come that way and that each way.
Right.
Got it?
Yeah.
Then trim it all off, and then if your stake's too wide, nick them off.
Just nick it off, and that'll be a really neat finish.
Well.
We hope.
It'll look better.
What do you use for that? If that's kind of intertwining hazel.
Hazel, I've got to get some hazel from somewhere.
Do you go and I suppose it's a good time of year to cut hazel, isn't it? To get coppice.
Oh, we'll find some.
Someone once told me that if you cut hazel in the winter time, it lasts much longer than if you cut it in the summertime.
Oh, I don't know, stop up then. No?
Right. Makes sense. So, I mean, in many respects, it's very much like making willow mazes. You know, like I've made a few willow structures and things for schools, and that whole plaiting process is kind of similar.
Yeah.
The stakes is that the proper name for these in the middle?
Stakes, yeah.
They are stakes. So these you've used.
Edging stakes, these are.
Right. So it doesn't matter what material they are, really. I mean, these are softwood, though.
Yeah. You get anything.
But all it is, for all intents and purposes, is just something to hold it in place.
That's right. You would if you just drop that down there. It'll all spring back up, and you look at see if the gale would come here and blow it over. But tie them down, look, because it looks better when it's tied.
Yeah.
You can't get it in the wire because you haven't got enough of stuff, look.
Right.
So some of the edges will be up your leg, but there's nothing. Not enough, is there?
No, absolutely. But it's a fantastic job. It will be a fantastic job.
Well, it'll be better, won't it?
Up, it will be.
And keep it about your law. I should be down to see other does it properly now.
Yeah, you should check. You should definitely keep your beady eye on it. When you do a hedge like this, how long? I mean, how long do you reckon this hedge is? What, about 50 yards or something like that? No, probably not that long, is it? 30 yards long.
Oh, I don't know. I bought 32 stakes, and I don't think it's enough, and they're about a yard apart, aren't they?
Right. Okay. So you might just run a little bit short. So say if it's 35 metres long, how long would it take you to do a hedge like this normally? I mean, does it matter on how dense the hedge is, what type of materials in the hedge?
Well, it's all according to how big it is, isn't it? You can't really tell, can you?
No.
If you've got a thorn edge and it's all growed into twine and all that, well, it takes longer to part them out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You know, like something like that. Well, no, that's a tree, that's a pear tree, I suppose, but some of them all thorn, not as high as that, of course, but
they get pretty big.
Grow in one another, and you've got to cut them out. And And then, like, if it's an edge has been done before, look, well, you've got all the dead wood to come out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do know. Your mate's there hovering. He doesn't want to come over and engage in this conversation, does he? He's either hovering or he's taking it all in. Taking a breather. Just thought he didn't want to be party to this conversation.
No.
So we got a good day for it today anyway. I don't suppose this winter's been particularly good, has it, for this kind of thing? It's been wet all the time.
No, we haven't done any edging for, God, how long is it?
3 years.
Really?
I swear.
Bit rusty then, really.
Oh, good God.
So I don't suppose you'll be charging much for this job then, will you?
Right. Can't you see we're rusty? Look at it.
That's really good. I was thinking how tiny it's going to look. I was thinking it's going to look spot on just now.
Tied down, yeah.
I mean, it was huge before, it's a massive, great thing. There's a lot of lovely colour in this hedge.
Oh, it will be, yeah.
And it's a shame to have it sort of towering over.
That's right.
I mean, it's going to get to such a state that the lawn will be dying off underneath it because it's so shaded.
When the leaves comes on, it looks a mess, I expect, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. It's just a bit too unkempt,
Well, you going to send a photo to his lordship or not?
Yeah, we should do, really, shouldn't we?
Oh, you should think so, because
we
I've
should
seen
do.
him...
And we should also mention Farmer Phil, that he should try and maintain his estate a little bit better. I don't know, it's probably a bit of a... It's a difficult one,
Oh, right.
It's a bit dodgy ground there. I don't know,
right.
you might be skating on thin ice, so I don't think either of them want to take responsibility for it.
Oh, right. What do you do here then?
Nothing really. No, I tried as little as possible.
Oh, well done.
You get paid though?
Yeah, since as a sort of, yeah.
Oh, I see.
As long as you get paid.
That's the main thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
You'll come back around this time next time.
Yeah, I should come back and check. Really, I should. What we should do is a follow-up.
Yeah,
I'll just.
Yeah.
Right, guys. That's. I'll be interested to see how this turns out then. So in 2 days' time, we'll be checking on your progress.
Right.
All right.
You won't be here Wednesday, anyway.
No, I'm not here. So you'll have to encourage the luxury of Rachel's company to come and check up on you.
Oh, well, that'll be all right.
So yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, another thing that we spent a reasonable amount of time talking about were Pinky and Perky, those lovely brown Tamworth pig and that large black that Phil and Hev had in the garden. Or not in the garden, I should say, in the field around the pond next to the garden, which the pigs have subsequently ploughed. Those guys went off to meet their maker, and we've all been feasting on pork ever since. And in fact, I did buy some sausages off Phil. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to negotiate the price. So we've been eating these beautiful breakfast sausage. Really good. A little bit fatty, but that's because we kept the pigs for perhaps a little bit longer than we might have done. But the flavour was just to die for. Michael, who's just recording this now, has been feasting on crunchy bacon. But those pigs have provided treats for everybody, in fact, right the way across the Wiggly team. And I think we've got a really nice little feature with Hev and the rest of the Gorringe clan feasting on those pigs around the Gorringe dinner table one Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's a steady old day, Farmer Phil. It is absolutely tipping with rain.
It is, and we are stood looking at our chocolate brown flooded pond with a few very happy ducks swimming around on it, and we're also looking at our extremely muddy and decimated paddock round it.
I have never, ever seen such a mess, and I could never believe that two little tiny porky pigs could one day turn into ploughs.
They've been very industrious. They haven't missed much, have they?
What will this, for the listener, it looks like we have had an infestation of 40,000 moles, and after the moles have been, some giant has raked it with a rake that has 6-inch forks on the rake.
I would think that's fair. I think one of your favourite words would describe that all the turf looks as if it's been rovelled.
Yeah.
It's rolled into balls and piled up in heaps.
But what does it mean? Because actually there are so few patches of grass in this field.
Well, what it means is that when it's dry, or when it dries out a bit later on in the spring, we will power harrow it, which means that we'll level out these bits that they've wrecked, and then we will just put grass seed on top of it, and so that you'll get a mixture of the old grass and the new to reform the sward.
So fairly expensive exercise in terms of pig production has taken place.
Well, I think that a truly commercial pig producing unit, they either do outdoor pigs on an arable field so that they would then plough it and grow a crop on the result, or, in our case, the field, the quality of the grass was very poor because it's just a sort of permanent pasture paddock. It won't actually do the field any harm to add a little bit of ryegrass back into it. The other species will still be there. There is a case for saying that it might benefit parts of it. From my point of view, that it's a piece of land that is more aesthetic than productive.
Aesthetic!
But at the moment,
Aesthetic!
at the moment, it's probably only aesthetic to a tank driver looking for a playground.
And you've had a bit of stick off your farmer friends, haven't you?
Yes, they've commented that my new tillage regime looks a little messy and is fairly incomplete and all the rest of it. And if I was going to plough the field, why didn't I plough it properly? And
on a more serious note, the pond, which is now completely flooded, is brown. And, you know, I hear a lot about soil erosion and the importance of keeping the soil covered in the winter. And here we are stood here in January, and there's no way this soil is covered, and there is definitely soil leaking into the pond.
Absolutely. But anybody who tells you that they can get away from soil erosion completely is wrong. It's a question of minimising it. And that brown colour hasn't come from the field that the pigs have mooted up. It's come from the farm tracks up the bank behind us. It's come from up in the wood, where you do woodland operations. It changes the cover and the canopy in the wood, so there'll be a certain amount of soil come out of that. And also there might be a little bit of soil that's come out of our winter sown cereal crops, that it'll have washed off there. But the trick is to minimise it. It looks chocolate brown, but the real important thing is whether there are huge piles of silt underneath that chocolate brown water, and hopefully, and I don't think there are, we cleaned the pond out about 20 years ago, I suppose, not perhaps quite that long ago, and it doesn't need cleaning out now, so we're not suffering too much.
And on a more positive note, I mean, presumably these pigs have had a fairly idyllic existence in terms of quality of life. I mean, most people, when I went to Andrew at Geek Farm Life, he had penned his pigs, and they were up to their armpits in the SH1T. And I mean, pigs like that, don't they?
Well, that's an interesting point, because pigs don't actually like to be in the SH1T. They're very clean animals, and if they're given space, they will have their latrine area and their lying area completely separate. But having said that, if you pen them in a smaller area, the fact that they'll dig and moot a piece into a complete tip, they love mud as opposed to manure. And so, in our case, yes, you could say that we've been a bit wasteful in allowing them free range over a field sort of 3 or 4 times the size of the area we should have penned them in. But having said that, for a pig to be allowed to do what they've done must be the best thing.
They have had a riot. And I must say, do you remember when we first got our pig ark from pigarks.co.uk, James? We really wondered if they'd use it.
I just thought to correct you, it's actually pighuts.co.uk.
I'm so sorry, pighuts.co.uk.
But yeah, they've made full use of that, and the proof of the pudding with that was that when it's cold and wet, that's where you'll find them, nose to tail in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So that's been a great success.
And they have been a wonderful, wonderful veggie eater. Absolutely fantastic. Their favourite foods were definitely the mulled wine from the bonfire night.
They've got through a few prunes since they started as well.
So anyway, the field is empty, and yesterday I watched the pigs being very gently encouraged, enticed into the trailer. So shall we walk over to the trailer and find out why they've spent a night indoors?
Yep, we'll do. We're going to have a look.
Now team, we're gathered round the dinner table. It's Sunday evening, and last week the pigs were in the field. This week the pig is on the table. And what I want to know is what you think about that. Sam?
They tasted very scrumptious at 4 o'clock when we had a little nibble. I hope they still do.
Di, any ethical issues here with eating the pork? Would you like to have a little taste on air?
I have no issues whatsoever.
But you really like those pigs.
I really think they taste better.
Billy?
That's gorgeous.
I think it's absolutely marvellous to have the pig on the table.
George, who is much more of a vegetarian than any of the rest of us.
Nothing wrong with it at all. Very good.
Monty, who fed the pigs, who loved looking after the pigs. What about you? Do you feel funny?
A bit, but I think it's fine.
Is it how it should be, do you think?
Yes.
Mo, any issues? A little bit of nervousness?
No nervousness at all. No, it's absolutely delicious.
Farmer Phil, is this the first time this farm has sat down to meat from this farm?
It is, while I've had anything to do with it.
Except pheasant and things.
Yeah, except pheasant and perhaps the occasional rabbit. But yeah, in terms of actually eating one of our own farmyard animals, we've not done that before. Yeah, great. No pigs, no pork.
Absolutely.
And if it tastes half as good as the sausages, it'd be absolutely superb.
Do you like sausages, Al?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Some of the best sausages you've ever had?
Without a doubt.
Excellent. Well, happy pig.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. We'll have a clink. To the pigs.
To the pigs.
Okay, now another thing. I had the luxury of being able to go to, as many of you listeners know, I've spent a reasonable amount of time going off and doing talks at gardening clubs and horticultural clubs and WIs and things like that. And a while ago we were approached by RAP. Now RAP are the main government agency for encouraging all us bods to go out and recycle our waste. They wanted us to talk about wormeries and worm composting and the like. And Bokashi had a local WI. And so I went up to the WI at Moccas Park. Some of you will probably know Moccas Park. It's quite famous. There are lots of huge oak trees in Moccas Park which provide habitat and refuge for stag beetles. So I went up there, only up the road from us, and I managed to talk to the WI. Big group, actually. There was only one gentleman there who I managed to talk to. And I did wonder why he was there, but apparently open WI events mean quite literally that you don't have to be female to go along. You can be a bloke as well. So I had a great chat with him. And I talked to Alice about some of the work that RAP did. So have a listen to this. Right then, Alice. A couple of weeks ago, you came to see us at the Wiggly office and asked us whether we might be interested in coming along and helping out with your composting day at Moccas Park WI.
Yeah.
And the day is finished.
It has.
We've all done our bit. And how do you think we've got on?
I think it's been a really good day. I'm really pleased, actually. It's been a great group to work with. They've been very keen.
They were, weren't they? Yeah, very responsive. Definitely. We've got a lot of interest in the audience.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll come away with more knowledge about composting. They'll be able to increase what they're doing, maybe tell a few of their friends and neighbours and get them encouraged to compost as well. So help spread the message about it, really.
Absolutely. Is your role doing things like this quite often?
Yeah, so kind of. My role, I work as a regional team leader on the home composting scheme.
Okay.
So I tend to work quite closely with the councils that we're working with across the country. And Worcestershire and Herefordshire are one of those areas that we're working in.
Okay.
And then we have a team of home composting advisors as well who are more out on the ground, out talking about composting, encouraging people, and also answering any questions that they've got, because we want to make sure that people are supported in what they're doing.
Yeah, certainly. Sounds excellent. But I think a lot of people probably have heard about RAP now and the kind of work RAP do, but can you just explain a little bit about what RAP are all about? I know you've already done that once today.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, we're obviously quite a large organisation working in a lot of different areas with businesses, with retailers, with local authorities, with the public, but all about promoting recycling and composting, whether that being promoting it to the public or encouraging businesses to recycle, thinking about people in construction using recycled aggregates, what do they do with their materials, and then also trying to help businesses set up in the recycling sector, so to improve the capacity that we have for recycling in this country and help the markets for the recycled products at the end of the day.
Right, okay. I mean, by and large, do you think things are improving? Things are changing? Are people really sort of taking the bull by the horns
definitely.
and doing their bit?
We've seen a change kind of in when we're talking to people, and we've also seen that over the last year people are now buying compost bins for environmental reasons. They're not just buying them because they want some compost for their garden. They're more aware of what's going on around the world and what's going on with our environment, so that's why they're doing it.
Fantastic, excellent. So what's next for you then now?
Oh, a journey home, I think.
You've got a long
and then
drive,
maybe a glass of wine.
Yeah. I reckon. Well, if you ever want us to do anything with you again, then by all means ask.
Great, thank you.
Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed those features. We're back on the Wiggly Couch proper next week with Hev, Phil and me. So we'll look forward to that. I'll look forward to that, certainly. Take care, and we'll also give you some of your fantastic feedback then as well. Cheers.